I'm so sorry. You're nearly 30. Please say psych.
I think men have the fact that their actions affect people around them blindness.
Motherhood is a scam. A better government like infrastructure around that, instead of just, oh my gosh, please have more babies because we need more workers.
So online, I've been hearing a lot about this social movement called the 4B movement, which emphasizes 4 tenets: no marriage, no dating, no sex, and no giving birth. Hello, welcome back to my channel. I'm the eldest Gen Z. Be sure to hit that like button and subscribe. We are on our way to 1,000 subscribers. Thanks for being a part of that journey. Feels like the only way to get away from the patriarchy from some perspectives is to entirely eliminate the problem in patriarchy, i.e. men.
Misogyny and sexism is so bad that South Korean women have decided to opt out of dealing with men entirely. This kind of first started happening around 2016 when Kim Ji-young, born 1982, a novel came out. And it is a fictional book about a Korean every woman and all of the misogyny and sexism that she's experienced from literally being a child all the way to her being an adult, suffering with postpartum depression. This book became a runaway bestseller among South Korean women. Now, the movement officially got its name in 2019, and it's just been going ever since.
Let's dive into seeing what it's all about, what it could possibly mean, and how it could potentially impact our lives.
Their population of people who outweighed who was born. Why? Because women are refusing to have kids until they're treated equally and fairly. And turns out women are a lot more essential because now the government is panicking.
So the 4B movement is considered to be a radical feminist movement because this is highly untouched territory for many women in South Korea and for many women around the world.
You understand that women are going to stop having sex with you because it is actually a threat to their life.
The 4B movement presents a lived critique of contemporary Korea. These young women are led to imagine their current single life as a temporary state. This article states, there is a precedent for women opting out of heterosexual relationships as a political act. The first wave feminists of the 1870s to the early 1900s often, quote, rejected the idea of marrying men and having children in favor of living with other women. And the same was true of, quote, certain radical groups of second wave feminists in the 1960s and 1970s.
They were basically these like programs to basically encourage Korean people to, I guess, have more babies, and how the government is working towards that. But the thing is, motherhood is a scam.
I feel like we're seeing a lot of this on the West as well, in the United States, as more women who are married, who are mothers, are sharing their stories online. I have an entire video on it on my channel about the realities of motherhood versus the choice to be child-free. It's quite a choice. It involves sacrifice. It involves giving up portions, entire elements of who you are. Well, motherhood can be beautiful, but also the social systems that render that process to be beautiful are often lacking. So hence, this movement exists. And often that burden of giving up parts of yourself is placed on women. So this movement is emphasizing the ability for women to do what it is that they want to do, regardless of the social stigma that may be associated.
Living our best lives, taking trips, working, making our own money, creating our gardens and all that. We're living life. Especially those of us who are in the 4B who are child-free. Don't even get me started on the child-free lifestyle. A lot of us were 4Bing before there was a name for it.
According to some sources, there are 2 people who have been considered the modern day proponents of the 4B movement. So their podcast channel is called Solidarity, and Young Se Young and Bak Hana are 2 South Korean YouTubers whose channel emphasizes the need for marriage to be less prioritized and the need for women's rights to be more prioritized. The 2 have vowed to stay single, and this duo has even compared marriage to slavery for women and has criticized the tradition of fathers giving away their brides. And as is the case of many women across the world, these 2 YouTubers share their experiences online and provide advice to other women who have experienced mistreatment by men.
We're gonna leave you alone first. How about that?
Okay, but do you promise?
and the move for women to decenter men, we will benefit from storytelling and hearing the lived experiences of women who have been in marriages and long-term relationships and have experienced firsthand the behavior, treatment, and life changes that occur when they marry, cohabitate, and center a man in their life.
And by some accounts, in South Korea, the 4B movement has as many as 4,000 to 5,000 proponents and supporters and members. And by other accounts, it's many more than that, many more thousands. The figures are still quite unknown, which makes a lot of sense because people who agree with something like the 4B movement and are choosing to live it out are probably choosing to live it out very quietly. It is the people who are choosing to speak on it and publicize it and be proponents of it publicly who have faced quite a bit of backlash in their countries as well as online. And disapproval of the 4B movement has come from as far up as the South Korean president, who claimed during his election campaign that structural sexism actually no longer exists. Okay. He has also previously blamed feminism for the country's low birth rate.
The Korean birth rate right now is at a 0.6 because for a country to sustain a generation, you need a birth rate of 2.1.
Marriage and childbirth are increasingly divisive topics in South Korea, where the United Nations data shows that the average woman has just 1.1 children, creating what they call a demographic crisis that threatens to shrink the population rapidly and impacts the economy. So to reverse this worrying trend, the South Korean government has rolled out a slew of costly measures to boost gender equality among its 51 million person population. Some of these policies include improving parental leave policies and offering fertility treatment to couples and single women.
Do you guys know the #1 outcome or the #1 indicator for how children grow up to thrive, whether or not they actually do?
I thought it was the daddy in the house.
Absolutely not.
What's
Believe
that?
it or not, it is the quality of their mother's happiness.
Wow.
Part of the growth of the 4B movement has come from social media, where in particular in 2019, there were a number of Korean women who identified themselves as anonymous women on social media who were sharing their stories and reasons why they are supportive of the 4B movement. There is also a component of the 4B movement that emphasizes, quote unquote, escaping the corset. And the idea of escaping the corset has to do with disentangling oneself from the social markers of what it means to be feminine, what it means to be a woman. Quote, the word corset is used by Korean feminists as a metaphor for the societal mechanisms that bind and repress women, including toxic beauty standards, including the fact that South Korea has the 10th largest beauty market globally and is the 3rd largest exporter of cosmetics. Members of the, quote, escape the corset movement criticize and resist cosmetic procedures, the demand for skincare and makeup rituals, and the adoption of trendy clothes, all of which are seen as perpetuating consumerism and misogynistic social norms. It makes a lot of sense that feminism has always been, in part, about women being able to wear pants, but it's also about a lot more than that. You mandate what women wear, you mandate what they put on their faces, you mandate what they do with their bodies. You ingrain a young girl, you ingrain a young woman into this process of feeling the need to meet the standards of other people, regardless of who those people are, over yourself. So if it starts there with just the cosmetic, it doesn't stop there with just the cosmetic.
And their husband is still just going to work, coming home, doing nothing, going to bed, and playing on their phone. And so these moms are getting resentful, and now they're standing up for themselves. The times have not caught up. Women now in their 30s and 40s are really deciding that, why? If I'm single at home with my spouse, why can't I just be single and be single? If I already am doing it all, I'll continue to do it all.
There have been rumblings about the 4B movement for many years now, going back to 2016, 2017, especially as the hashtag #MeToo movement was picking up steam in the United States and in other places around the world, which was followed by, in 2018, thousands of women who were protesting against the epidemic of voyeurism or spy cam. that was plaguing the livelihoods of South Korean women as they were unknowingly being spied upon when they were doing private activities. And so these two YouTubers, as well as other members of the 4B movement, have been criticized as being too radical, too feminist, too pushy. One criticism of the movement has dubbed it the womb protest, and honestly, I think they thought that was going to be an insult, but like, I'm like, yeah, let's lead into it. Something interesting I learned while researching for this video, that the quote-unquote hashtag #MeToo movement gained traction about a decade before it started blowing up on social media in 2017. And in South Korea, there was an important component for South Korean women who finally felt that they had the space to speak up about the work that they were forced to do as a result of World War II and the Japanese occupation of Korea. So the Me Too movement not only provided space for young women, middle-aged women to speak about their present day and past experiences, but also for older women who have experienced the pressure and oppression that was placed upon them during that time to use their bodies for the services of the war. That was really interesting to me. That's something I had never heard about. That shows the importance of why movements like this exist. And it was in modern day that women felt like they had the opportunity to share those terrible experiences that happened so many decades earlier. And I think that just speaks to the importance of why these movements exist today, the importance of being able to give space to these movements, even if you don't feel that you agree with it. Even those women who are married, are happily married in some cases, are happily parents in some cases, are still choosing to say, hey, I see you, I get that, I recognize that for you, I'm glad you get to choose that. I have a lot of respect standing in solidarity, solodarity, with them.
However, comma,
you don't have to care that that woman over there doesn't want to have a kid. You don't have to care that that woman over there doesn't want to get married, because there's still millions of other women who do. So feeling the need to encroach and infringe upon the feelings and sentiments of these women, I think is kind of strange. Personally, I understand that, like, as a man, you might feel like, ooh, they're coming against me. But I think you would need to take a step back and evaluate, like, okay, why? I feel like the 4B movement is one of those things that if it doesn't apply to you, it doesn't apply to you. But if it's not for you, then okay, keep scrolling. I feel like if you are not a part of the group that the movement is impacting and you don't agree with it, just stay over there. But also, we don't need you to say anything negative. Just be over there. Be neutral. Quote, this digital movement functions as an online community where women engage in open discussion about navigating and envisioning a future without men. Now, I know that little part there, envisioning a future without men, that's the part where people get up in arms. My question is, how likely do you think that is possible? Like, really, how likely do you think it is that one day the entire world will be entirely one gender primarily that would exist? It's highly unlikely, right? So to go online and be like, I don't agree with you envisioning a future without men, honey, it's highly unlikely. It's a stretch. It's a vision, hence the word envision. However, with the growth of technology, all you need is a good old sperm bank. All you need is a couple dudes. Bing, bang, boom, population continued. In a dystopian novel, sure. I think ultimately in real life, no. This article posits, could the 4B movement become a global phenomenon? And I'm curious, what do you think? Let me know down below. By some accounts, this is kind of something that's already been happening. We just didn't really have a name for it.
Ooh, you're just gonna be a sad single old cat lady.
Ooh, only single cat ladies would vote for her to be president.
What are you talking about? We're seeing that narrative that men have tried to push for so many years is actually the result of men's own fear of loneliness. So could this take off more? As women's education levels, financial independence, and sense of agency continues to increase, so does the likelihood that they won't settle for just playing a domestic role for a partner who doesn't meet their expectations. Do you think that this is something you might choose for yourself? Do you think that there's someone in your life who a movement like this could benefit? Do you see it growing mass popularity across the world or in the place where you live? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. What are your thoughts overall? I'd love to hear them. Be sure to hit that like button and subscribe. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. Thanks for helping me get there, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Praise do what I need from you. Can you be what I need? Oh.